Our first guest tonight agrees with Congressman Nunes' call to hold sessions in contempt, saying we've heard enough talk. It is time now for action. Joining us, Congressman Ron DeSantis, member of a number of key important committees, and those include government and government reform, oversight, foreign affairs, and judiciary. He's also the leading Republican candidate to be governor of the great state of Florida. Congressman, good to have you with us. Devin Nunes, once again, he's saying straight out he's had it with this Justice Department. And the only question I've got, Congressman, is what's going to happen next?
Lou, they've shown nothing but contempt for us and our oversight prerogatives, which really is getting the American people the truth, as we're elected by the people. So if they're going to show us this level of contempt, we should hold them in contempt. And unless you're willing to attach a sanction to noncompliance, you will continue to play this song and dance over and over again. So I think Chairman Nunes is exactly right. He's really one of the few chairmen who are actually putting his foot down and saying this is enough. So let's set that contempt hearing. And here's the thing, Lou, if you do that and show you're willing to do it, I think they end up producing the documents because he wouldn't want to go through that. But if they think Congress is never going to put its foot down, then they're going to keep doing what they're doing. And bureaucracies protect themselves, and that's what they're doing here.
And let's be very straightforward here. Congress for decades has let the intelligence agencies of the intelligence community get away with the lightest hand when it comes to oversight imaginable, if not outright abdication of that oversight responsibility. Would you not agree?
Well, and certainly I think what you found with this investigation with the Justice Department is they've really abused the extent to which Congress has deferred to them. I mean, remember, when we did the Nunes memo, DOJ was saying, oh, my gosh, it'll be a catastrophe for national security. We can't possibly let this come out. And then it comes out. There's no damage whatsoever to national security, but sure was very illuminating about the conduct of the FBI and DOJ. And even with things like these redactions that the FBI has been doing, we now had the House Intelligence Report put out last week that took away those redactions finally. And those redactions were not to protect the public or to protect national security. They were there to protect people like Comey and other bureaucrats inside their organizations. So now is the time to finally bring accountability.
Yeah, and I think it is important amongst all of the chairmen to give Devin Nunes the credit that is his due and the Intelligence Committee credit. I mean, compare him to any other chairman, any other member of leadership of the Republican Congress, and he stands head and shoulders above them in his integrity, in his energy, and his intellect, and his perseverance in pursuing the truth behind this wall of, frankly, misinformation and disinformation emanating from both the FBI and the Justice Department.
And Devin has been right about a lot of this from the very beginning, whereas you had other people in the House, even on the Republican side, oh, you know, Mueller's got an important job to do, let him do his work, you know, we're not going to question that he stocked his team with Democrats and all this. And I think Devin's like, look, there's something not smelling right about this thing from the very beginning, and the more digging that's been done, the more the wrongdoing has been exposed.
Your reaction to T.S. Ellis, the district court judge in Virginia, who smacked Bob Mueller and his attorneys around in court. He's given them 2 weeks to produce the scope memorandum, and they condescended to that judge in ways I can't even imagine. I knew they were arrogant. I knew they were left-wing focused and intent on destroying this president. But I got to tell you, this district court judge stood up and called them what they are. Namely liars and likely abusers of the mission that they set upon as special counsel, going so far beyond any imaginable scope to attack this president. He demands to see that memorandum. Your thoughts?
Well, and what he said was exactly right, Lou. How does a bank fraud case from 10 years ago directly arise from collusion during the 2016 campaign? The answer is it doesn't. Logically or factually, the judge is right. The only reason they're pursuing that case is because they want Manafort to do something to testify against the president. Now, he's not going to do that because there's not information there, but they are hell-bent on getting people to try to undermine the president. I think that's clear. I think the judge put him in their place. And also remember, Lou, what happened the next day in another case with the Russian trolls, all those companies that were indicted. Mueller actually wanted to delay it because one of the companies sent attorneys saying, hey, we can test this. We want discovery. They were not ready to try the case. So they bring an indictment. Rosenstein went out and announced, oh, we've indicted all these people for Russian trolls, and they're not ready to try the case.
And everyone knew when he did that. I would think that Mueller would be embarrassed at the transparency of his motivation and the realization, certainly, that he would not be able to reach to Russian soil and in any way touch any one of those individuals. It is a farce in every sense of the word. And Judge Ellis is calling them out on it. Do you believe, we're a long way from a ruling, about 2 weeks away, but Mueller surely will be, at least in part of this, reprimanded, certainly by this judge?
And Rosenstein, I mean, Lou, Rosenstein did this appointing order. It was a disaster. People called them on it. So then he did this other one, but he blacks out a lot of this stuff. I mean, so the public has no idea what the scope of this thing is. It's been botched from the start. And yes, I hope the judge puts them in their place and says that this is outside the special counsel's jurisdiction.
So
I think that'd be good.
With all of this before the Congress of the United States and the Senate, why in the world will not Mitch McConnell and Paul Ryan, in the leadership of both houses, stand with the president and say, end your ignorant nonsense? You are farcical, Bob Mueller. It is embarrassing to watch your partisan witch hunt, and end it now. Why don't they have the guts and the integrity to do so?
Well, Lou, if they're not willing to do it after all this, I mean, the wheels are coming off this thing. We saw those questions that Mueller wants to ask the president. There's no crime in any of those questions. They want him to know, what did you think of Comey during the transition? Who cares? So they need to do that. They've not done that up to this point, unfortunately. So they should do it. And you know what? If they did do that, Lou, Republican voters in particular would respond favorably, and they would view both of those leaders more favorably than they do now.
And as we wrap up here, I've got to ask you, what is it going to take to wrap this thing up in your judgment? Because you know, if history is any guide to future performance, Ryan doesn't have the guts to cross the street. Neither does McConnell. They have other interests to serve, namely on K Street. What's it going to take?
Well, I would like to see people like Nunes or some of our other committees. Let's bring in Rosenstein. Let's put him under the Clegg lights, and let's make him justify this thing. I don't think he can do it. I also think people like Rudy, that's joining the president's team, Rudy has the right idea. Look, put up or shut up, and let's move on. We got big issues, Lou, that the president's dealing with. Kim Jong-un, he's got a lot of economic negotiations. Why would we want to burden the country with this, given that we have so many opportunities?